Hello, everyone. Welcome to our podcast on learning English faster. My name is Emma, and with me today is Max. We're so happy you're here with us to talk about the science of learning English quickly and effectively.
Hi, everyone. Today, we're going to explore what makes learning English work. We're going to talk about why some methods work better than others and how you can learn English faster by using the best strategies.
Right, learning a language like English can feel slow, but there are ways to make it faster. Let's think of language learning like planting a tree. The more you water and care for it, the faster and stronger it grows. Learning English is a bit like that. The more you know about how your brain works, the easier it is to make good learning choices.
Exactly, and one of the biggest things we need to know is how our brains learn new words and phrases. When you first hear a new word, it might sound strange, right? Your brain has to process that word. It has to turn it into something you can understand, use, and remember.
Yes, and that's a lot for the brain to do. But here's a trick. Your brain likes repetition. When you hear or see a word several times, it starts to feel familiar. It becomes easier for your brain to remember it. So if you want to learn a word faster, try to repeat it or see it often in different contexts.
That's a great point, Emma. Repeating words and phrases is super helpful. And not just repeating, but using them when you practice speaking a new word out loud, it sticks with you better. The more senses we use when learning, like hearing, seeing, and saying, the stronger our memory of that word becomes.
Yes, and studies show that even just seeing a word in writing helps it stick. So if you're listening to something, try reading along. Or if you're learning from a book, maybe write down words you want to remember. These little actions can help a lot with memory.
Another thing our brains love is something called association. This means connecting a new word with something we already know. For example, if you're learning the word rain, you might think of an image of rain or maybe remember the sound of rain falling.
Oh, that's such a good technique, Max. It's like when we use flashcards. Some people like to draw little pictures on their flashcards or use colors. This helps the brain create stronger associations. And it works even if your drawing skills aren't amazing. Just adding a small detail can make the learning faster.
Yes, and you can also try connecting new English words to words in your own language. For example, if your language has a similar word, use that as a bridge. Or, if it sounds like another word in English, try to remember them together. This trick can make learning smoother and faster.
Definitely. And speaking of using what we know, our brains also learn faster when we're interested in something. Think about it. You'll remember a new word more easily if it's related to something you love, like a hobby, your favorite food, or a place you want to visit.
That's so true. Emma, learning English through things that make you happy or excited can make a huge difference. For example, if you like sports, try learning English by watching games in English or reading sports articles. Or if you love music, look up the lyrics to songs and learn new words that way.
Yes, and something else that makes a big impact is our mood. Learning is often easier when we feel relaxed and positive. So if you're feeling stressed, it might be a good idea to take a few deep breaths or do something calming. Then come back to your English practice with a fresh mind.
That's such good advice. Learning while relaxed helps our brain absorb information more quickly. And along with that, it's good to remember that making mistakes is part of the process. When we're learning, mistakes mean we're growing and getting better.
Yes, I love that, Max. In fact, when you make a mistake, it's actually a chance to learn something new. It's like a sign that says, here's something I need to work on. So if you say a word wrong or don't understand something right away, don't worry, just try again.
Absolutely. Mistakes help us improve, and that brings us to another interesting part of learning, setting small goals. If you try to learn everything at once, it can feel overwhelming. But if you focus on one small goal at a time, like learning 5 new words each day, you'll see progress more quickly.
Yes, and those small goals add up over time. Before you know it, you've learned hundreds of words. It's also helpful to celebrate your progress, even the little wins. Each word you learn, each sentence you understand, that's a victory. And it makes you feel good, which keeps you motivated.
Exactly, Emma, and motivation is powerful. It's like fuel for learning. When you feel motivated, you want to keep going even when it's challenging. One way to stay motivated is to remind yourself of why you're learning English. Maybe it's for a job, for travel, or to make new friends.
Yes, and keep a picture in your mind of what learning English will bring you. That vision can be a huge help when you're tired or frustrated. Plus, having a clear reason helps your brain focus. Your brain is like, okay, this is important. And that can make learning faster and more effective.
That's so true, Emma. It's amazing how much the brain can do when it feels like learning is important and fun. Speaking of fun, finding ways to enjoy your learning is key. Like we mentioned before, use hobbies, music, or even movies in English to make the process enjoyable.
Yes, and you don't have to learn only from textbooks. Real-life things like movies, songs, podcasts, or even YouTube videos are fantastic resources. They give you real language, the way people actually speak, which helps you learn faster and sound more natural.
That's such a great point, and it's also about balance. You want a mix of real language and some structure, like grammar or vocabulary lists. But remember, the best learning comes when you're actually using English, not just reading or listening.
Exactly, Max. We learn best when we do. So try to use English every day, even if it's just a little bit. Write a short message, read a small article, or talk to a friend in English. Little actions add up and make a big difference in your progress.
Right, and don't forget that practice builds confidence. Each time you use English, you're building your skills and becoming more comfortable. Confidence grows slowly, but with each step, you get stronger and closer to fluency.
All right, so let's keep going with more tips on how to learn English faster. Now that we've talked a bit about how the brain works and some good learning habits, let's dive into specific strategies that can help you make real progress.
Yes, because learning a language isn't just about knowing the theory, it's about finding ways that work for you. Everyone learns a bit differently, so it's important to try a variety of methods and see what helps you the most.
Exactly. So, let's talk about something we call active learning. Many learners try to study passively, like only listening to lessons or reading without fully engaging. Active learning is different because it means really participating, like speaking out loud, asking yourself questions, and even teaching what you've learned to someone else.
That's such a good point, Emma. When you're actively using English, you're making it stick in your mind. For example, after you watch an English video or read something, you could summarize it in your own words, even if it's just talking to yourself. This helps you remember what you've learned much better than just listening or reading alone.
Absolutely. And speaking of talking to yourself, let's go a little deeper into that. A lot of people feel shy or awkward doing this, but it can really make a difference. Even if you're alone, saying things out loud helps your brain practice the sounds, the words, and even builds your confidence.
Right, and there's no one to judge you, so it's a safe way to practice. You could describe what you're doing as you go about your day, like I'm cooking dinner or I'm going for a walk. These little moments add up, and before you know it, talking in English will feel more natural.
Yes. And another great method for active learning is what we call shadowing. This is when you listen to someone speaking in English and then try to repeat what they say right after, like you're their shadow. It's a wonderful way to improve your pronunciation and rhythm because you're copying a natural speaker.
Shadowing is powerful. When you do this, you're not just repeating words, you're getting used to the natural speed and flow of English. It helps you sound more fluent, and it can be a fun way to practice. You can do this with any audio, like podcasts, YouTube videos, or movies. Just try to keep up with the speaker.
Yes, and don't worry if you can't match their speed at first. Take it slow and try again. Over time, you'll get faster and more accurate. And this actually brings us to another helpful strategy: setting up a language routine.
A language routine is a great idea. When you set aside a bit of time each day for English practice, it becomes a habit. Even just 10 or 15 minutes can make a big difference if you're consistent. It's like exercising. Doing a little every day helps you get stronger, and it's the same with language learning.
Exactly, Max. And the routine doesn't have to be complicated. You could start by reading something in English for a few minutes in the morning, then maybe listen to an English song or a short podcast while you're cooking or doing chores. You don't need a lot of time, just make it part of your day.
Yes, and another important part of learning faster is reviewing regularly. It might sound boring, but going back over what you've already learned helps you remember it much better. You don't have to review everything every day, but maybe once a week, look back at your notes or practice words you learned before.
Absolutely. Review is like watering a plant. Each time you go back to something, you help it grow stronger in your memory. So maybe at the end of each week, take a look at any new words, phrases, or sentences you learned. Say them out loud, use them in a sentence, or write them down again.
And that's also where tools like flashcards can come in handy. Flashcards are great for quick review because you can just flip through them whenever you have a few spare minutes. You could even make digital flashcards on an app and practice on your phone.
Flashcards are awesome because they make reviewing fast and easy. And here's another tip. If you use flashcards, try using both English on one side and your own language on the other side. This way, you're training your brain to recognize the word's meaning quickly.
Yes, and it's really about building that recognition over time. Another useful technique is called spaced repetition. This is a system where you review new words or phrases at specific intervals, like once a day, then once a week, then once a month. It's proven to help with long-term memory.
Right, spaced repetition takes advantage of how our memory works. If you review something too soon, your brain doesn't have to work hard to remember it. But if you wait just long enough, it actually makes your memory of that word stronger. It's like giving your brain a small challenge to keep it sharp.
That's a great way to put it. And here's another idea. If you're a visual learner, try drawing little pictures for new words. Sometimes adding a visual image helps our brains remember better. Or, if you prefer, you can even associate colors with words or themes.
Yes, visual learning can make a big difference. And if you like writing, try keeping a language journal. This could be as simple as writing a few sentences each day in English about your day, your thoughts, or what you learned. It's a great way to practice writing and get comfortable forming sentences.
Writing in English every day, even if it's just a little, is a fantastic habit. You can also look back at your journal entries to see how you've improved over time. Plus, you can experiment with different sentence structures and vocabulary, which helps you feel more comfortable with the language.
Definitely. And let's talk about one more key area: listening. Listening is often the skill that helps us understand and use English faster. When you listen a lot, you get used to the sounds, the rhythm, and how words are used in real life. It's like training your ear.
Absolutely, and it doesn't have to be hard listening, like news or formal talks. Try things that are enjoyable, like TV shows, movies, or even cartoons. These give you everyday English, which is what you need for real conversations.
Yes, and a good trick is to watch something with English subtitles. When you can read along, it helps you understand the sounds and words better. But don't feel like you need to understand every word. Try to focus on the main ideas. Even if you only understand 50%, that's okay.
That's right. Just getting the general idea is a big step. And here's another idea. If you have a favorite show or movie, watch it in your own language first. Then, when you watch it in English, you'll already know the story, which makes it easier to understand the English words.
That's a really smart strategy, and you can even rewatch certain scenes if you want. Repeating things helps reinforce what you hear. And don't forget you can also pause and practice repeating lines. This is great for practicing pronunciation and getting used to common phrases.
Repeating lines is fun, too, especially if you enjoy acting a little. And you'll find that real-life English sounds different from textbook English. Movies and shows give you everyday expressions, slang, and common ways people actually speak.
Yes, and that everyday language is so valuable. Real-life conversations are usually more relaxed than formal English lessons. And another tip is to try to think in English. This might sound hard, but it can really help speed up your learning.
Thinking in English is a fantastic skill, even if you only think simple sentences like, "I need to go to the store" or "What's for dinner?" It helps your brain get used to forming thoughts in English. Over time, it becomes more natural, and you'll find yourself thinking in English without even trying.
Exactly, Max. It can feel strange at first, but even practicing short, simple thoughts in English can make a big difference. And remember, it's okay if it feels slow or if you have to switch back to your own language sometimes. The more you practice, the easier it gets.
Yes, and don't forget that every little bit of practice counts. Even 5 minutes here and there adds up. Learning faster doesn't mean doing hours every day. It's more about using your time wisely, being consistent, and trying different methods to find what works best for you.
That's so true, Max. And we hope these strategies give you some fresh ideas on how to make your English learning faster and more enjoyable. There's no one perfect way to learn, but by trying a few of these techniques, you can start seeing progress in your English skills.
All right, so we've talked a lot about strategies for learning English, but let's dive into something just as important to your mindset and motivation. These are actually big factors in how fast and effectively you can learn English.
That's right, Max. Learning a language isn't only about studying. It's about staying motivated and feeling confident. How you feel and think about your learning can make a huge difference. If you're excited and believe you can improve, you'll probably learn faster.
Exactly, Emma, and one of the first things to remember is that it's okay to make mistakes. In fact, mistakes are a natural part of learning. If you're afraid of saying something wrong, it can hold you back. So, it's better to focus on communicating, not perfection.
Yes, think of every mistake as a learning opportunity. When you make a mistake and someone corrects you, you're actually learning the right way. It's like taking a small step forward. The more you try, the more you learn.
That's a great way to look at it, and another helpful mindset is to set small, achievable goals. It can feel overwhelming to think about becoming fluent, but if you break that goal down into smaller parts, it's much more manageable. Like, I want to learn 10 new words this week, or I'll practice speaking for 5 minutes today.
Yes, small goals are key. When you reach these smaller goals, it gives you a sense of progress and success. It's also less stressful than trying to learn everything at once. Over time, these small steps add up to big improvements.
And celebrate those little victories, too. Learning a new word, understanding a conversation, or even watching a movie in English, these are all wins. Recognizing your progress helps you stay motivated because you can see that you're improving.
Absolutely, and here's something else to consider. Try to make your learning fun. Learning English doesn't have to feel like a chore. Find ways to enjoy the process, like playing language games, listening to songs you love, or talking about topics that interest you.
Yes, when you enjoy learning, it doesn't feel like hard work. For example, if you love cooking, look up recipes in English and follow along. If you're into sports, watch a game with English commentary. When you're interested in the topic, you'll learn the language without even noticing.
That's a fantastic idea, Max. And another thing is to try to surround yourself with English as much as possible. This doesn't mean you have to be studying all the time. Even just having English around you, like on your phone or in your social media feed, can keep you in touch with the language daily.
Exactly, Emma. This is sometimes called language immersion, and it's one of the best ways to learn faster. When you see, hear, and use English in different parts of your day, it starts to feel more natural. You're not just learning for 1 hour and then stopping. You're keeping English in your life all the time.
Yes, and even small things can help. Changing your phone's language to English, for example, or setting English as the language in apps you use often can be a great way to practice without even thinking about it.
That's a good tip, and here's another. Don't be afraid to put yourself in situations where you need to use English, even if it's a little scary. Like joining an English-speaking group, finding a language partner, or even speaking English at a store or cafe. The more you use it in real life, the faster you'll improve.
Yes, real conversations are one of the best ways to learn. They're challenging, but they're also rewarding. And remember, people are usually very understanding if you're learning their language. Most will appreciate that you're trying, so don't be too hard on yourself.
That's right, and when you practice speaking, it's okay to ask questions even if they seem simple. Like if you don't understand a word someone used, ask them what it means. Most people will be happy to explain, and this is how you learn real, everyday English.
And that brings us to another important point, patience. Learning a language takes time, and sometimes progress can feel slow. But if you stay patient and keep practicing, you'll get there. Remember, every step you take brings you closer to fluency.
Exactly, and it's also about being kind to yourself. If you miss a day of practice or feel like you're not improving, that's okay. Language learning has ups and downs, just keep going and don't give up.
Yes, think of it as a journey. Some days you'll make big progress, and other days might feel slower, but that's normal. What matters is that you're moving forward. And sometimes you'll see the biggest progress after a slow period, like a breakthrough moment where something just clicks.
That's true. Breakthroughs often happen when you least expect them. And here's one last tip on motivation. Try to remind yourself why you're learning English in the first place. Whether it's for work, travel, connecting with people, or just for fun, keeping your reason in mind can help you stay focused and motivated.
Yes, having a clear reason makes everything feel more meaningful. If you can picture yourself reaching your goal, like traveling confidently or talking to new friends in English, it can give you a boost of energy to keep going.
And don't forget to enjoy the process. Learning English opens up so many new opportunities and experiences. You get to connect with people from all around the world, enjoy new books, movies, and shows, and even understand different cultures better.
Exactly, Max. Learning a language is like opening a door to a whole new world. So don't stress too much about speed. Focus on the experience and all the wonderful things you can do with English. That's the real reward.
So true, Emma, and we hope that these tips on mindset, motivation, and enjoying the journey will help make your English learning not only faster but also more enjoyable. Learning English is an exciting journey, and every word you learn brings you closer to understanding and connecting with others.
And remember, you're not alone on this journey. There are so many people around the world learning English just like you, facing the same challenges and celebrating the same victories. So keep going and enjoy each step of the way.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you found these tips helpful and inspiring. Remember to keep practicing, stay positive, and believe in yourself. You can do this.
And don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you enjoyed this podcast. We'll be sharing more tips, ideas, and conversations to help you on your English journey. And of course, share this podcast with your family and friends who might also be learning English. Yes, the more, the merrier. Thank you again for listening, and we'll see you next time. Keep learning, keep smiling, and enjoy your English journey.
Yes, the more, the merrier. Thank you again for listening, and we'll see you next time. Keep learning, keep smiling, and enjoy your English journey.
Goodbye, everyone, and happy learning.
Goodbye.